All right, it is time for LABR. First off, thanks, gang, for joining me. We're going to see how this goes. I'm really looking forward to drafting, but also just having you guys follow along, and we'll chat. Feel free to chat in the YouTube comment section or on Twitter, however you want to do it. If you do it on Twitter, use the hashtag LABR, so we'll see that on the left side. I'll have the draft board up for you guys the whole time, so we can just kind of see how picks are going. Obviously, I'm on the bottom right. I think we're going to get started like now or very soon. What I've got is got my laptop here on the left side, so I'm going to make my picks from there. And then on here, I've got my spreadsheet and the draft board. So if you see me looking up a lot, that's because the draft board that I can see is up there. And then I've got my own little cheat sheet here. So let's see how it goes. I've got the 13th pick, and I don't know how I feel about it. I think there's like 11 top guys that I would absolutely love to have fall to me at 13. I don't think it's going to happen. I think the question that it's going to come down to is, do I want to take a pitcher at the 1-2 turn? So will someone like Justin Verlander be available at 13? And if so, do I want to go that route? After that top 11 guys, and just so you guys know, the top 11 I've got in no particular order: Cole, Yelich, DeGrom, Trout, Betts, Acuna, Soto, Lindor, Turner, Bellinger, Trevor Story, and then I've got Verlander, and then a bunch of bats that honestly I can't really tell apart. Freddie Freeman, Jose Ramirez, Bregman, JD Martinez, Anthony Rendon, Nolan Arenado. I view those kinds of guys as pretty much the same. So we'll see. I got a few minutes to figure that out, and if you guys want to give me your suggestions on YouTube, I will ignore it most likely and pick who I want. But looks like we've got a bunch of people in here. So Dan Strafford says now it's a party, and that's awesome. Yancey, you were the first one in here. I know you were stoked for that. Who else we got in here? Frank Stample. Hopefully I do a little bit better than our main event draft in New York last year when we drafted next to each other. So you guys know this is my second year in LABR. So last year was my first. Ray Murphy was kind enough to grant his spot to me, and I finished 7th overall. Not horrible. Obviously, I'd like to do a little bit better, but had a couple early picks that went belly up. Carlos Carrasco, for obvious reasons, puts things in perspective. But I took like Miguel Andujar, obviously before he got hurt in the 6th round. That didn't really work out. Lorenzo Cain was on a lot of my teams. That didn't really work out either. But hoping to not bust as much on the first few picks. So that's kind of my goal in the first couple of rounds here, is to basically not screw up. So I'm going to be targeting guys that have higher floors, and we'll see. I've got 2 pups, an 8-month-old, and my wife in the room over here next to me. So as life happens, the kid just came down with a double ear infection and acute bronchiolitis. So I was pumping him with meds just before we started. So you may hear noise in the over off to the side, but don't freak out. It's also Tuesday night recycling night, so my one dog goes crazy and barks whenever a neighbor brings their garbage can out from the driveway to the curb. So again, forewarning for that. So anyway, back to my draft strategy. So a couple other things I was looking at 13, and again, this is just how I approach drafts in general, is I try and map out like my first 4 rounds and just go by ADP, go by NFBC ADP, and see a couple scenarios of who might be available to me. So one of those scenarios, obviously, I talked about, what if I get a pitcher in the first round? How would I want that 2nd, 3rd, 4th round to look? Obviously, at the 3-4 turn, I'm looking at guys whose ADP is in that area to say, which guys do I like, which guys do I not like at the 3-4, and is that going to affect how I draft in the 1st or 2nd round? For me this year, no, this is not Tito's on ice. This is a 15-ounce glass of water. Actually, hold on, put my Red Bull in the freezer. Thanks for that reminder. Let me go get that. All right, now I'm ready to go. No Red Bull vodka because I don't really like to drink that much during the draft. I am a drinker, but I gotta stay focused. This thing's a 30-round haul, so I'm not gonna start too early. But going back to the 3-4 turn, so actually this year there's not many hitters that I like at the 3-4 turn when I was mapping this out. Guys like Javi Baez, Charlie Blackmon, George Springer, maybe Whit Merrifield are guys I'd like at the turn. But then there's also guys like Ketel Marte, Keston Hiura, Springer maybe, who are going in that range that I am not really a huge fan of at the 3-4. So that also affects how I go 1-2. And I probably want to at least get one hitter, probably two in the first 2 rounds, again, depending on how it goes. So looks like we're off. Tim McLeod takes Ronald Acuna Jr. He told me he would earlier this week, so no surprise there. A good pick, probably my number 1 as well. So I'm expecting Acuna, Yelich, and Trout to go first 3, but we'll see what happens. Again, if I'm looking up here, that's because my draft board is up here, and I'm not just staring at my ceiling. So again, cheers, guys. Thanks a bunch for joining. I hope this is fun and useful for you guys. I don't want to just talk about my team, but just go through what I think of other people's teams as we go, and also just talk about my general strategy and just want to have some fun with it. So Trout goes 2 to Steinhorn. Zach Steinhorn was in first in LABR last year, heading into the final week by about 20 points, and there were congratulatory emails going out congratulating Zach on his win before the season was over, and it turns out Steve Gardner made up 20 points, roughly 20 points-ish, in that last week to take over and win the league in that last week. It was probably the wildest finish that I've ever seen. So if I don't win the league this year, I'm kind of rooting for Zach because that was an epic collapse in the final week, and he was a good sport about it. He was a cool guy about it, but man, that's rough. So anyway, Yelich, Bellinger, so far this is pretty chalk at 3-4. The things I'm looking at right now are where are those pitchers going to go? Where is Garrett Cole, DeGrom, and perhaps Verlander going to go? Because I might take one of those guys at number 13. There goes Betts to 5. That's a strong pick from Alan Harrison, who tweeted out like an entire 6-pack of beers before the draft started. So I don't know if he started or not or what. Joe Sheehan takes Francisco Lindor. Not surprised there. He took Lindor in the first round last year. If you guys remember, Lindor, I forget exactly what injury he had. Ankle injury, I believe, right before LABR, and Sheehan still took him in the first round. So not surprised there. So far, no pitchers in the first 6 picks. I'm drafting between Ray Flowers and Scott Pianowski, and those guys tend to not take pitchers either, so we'll see what happens. Garrett Cole goes to Pisa Pia at 6, so there's Cole first off the board. Jeff Erickson, he did a podcast with his pod mate, Fred Zinke, who's drafting 11th, so they're in the same draft, and we're talking a little strategy today. They were good about it, not totally tipping their hand, but giving some good strategies. So Jeff takes Trevor Story. That's not a surprise either. I think he took Story in either FSGA or the First Pitch Arizona draft that I'm in with him. He's a big Story guy. There goes DeGrom. So DeGrom and Cole are my first 2 pitchers off the board. If one of those 2 guys fell to me at 13, I would absolutely take one of those, but that's not the case. So something I need to figure out quickly is, do I want to take Verlander, or do I want to stack up my bats? Verlander, no red flags in his profile, but 37 years old. Do I want to put my first round pick and a 37-year-old. We'll see if Sporer takes him. Sporer has Verlander number 1 in his pitching rankings, and he did not. He took Trey Turner. And there goes Verlander to Zinke. So all of that thinking, all of that wasted time, considering if I would take Verlander or not. So Ray's going to take a hitter. Let's see who it is. And really, I'm coming down right now to Freddie Freeman, Juan Soto, Bregman, or Jose Ramirez. I should probably have that whittled down to less than 4 guys at this point. There goes Bregman, and I am on the clock. For me, it's down to Soto and Freddie Freeman, and very similar guys. Soto might chip in a few more stolen bases, but I'm going to go Freddie Freeman just because, again, the floor is elite. So Freddie Freeman's my pick. Love the lineup. Love the 330 homer floor. Maybe 5 to 10 bags. I jumped ADP for him. Freeman might have been available in the second round for me, but that's okay. I'm going to get my guy. And Arenado goes to Pianowski right after that. I was wondering where Arenado would go. He's a fine pick if he stays in Coors. Even if he leaves, I don't think the drop-off will be that bad, but I like the safety of Freeman a little bit more. And so what I'm going to wonder now is Soto or Jose Ramirez, guys who I was considering in the first round, are they going to turn right back around to me at 13? Does ESPN or Pianowski take a pitcher or 2 pitchers here? That's going to really dictate it. I love drafting on the wheel. I love kind of playing off these 2 teams to the right of me. So we'll see. ESPN is Stefania Bell and Kyle Soppe co-running that team. They're a fun duo. Soppe is the producer of their podcast and a former First Pitch attendee. Cool guy. If I was going to take a pitcher here, it's going to be Walker Buehler. They just took Scherzer. Scherzer, for me, just a little bit too much risk with the back and the neck and the age. That combination, I don't want to build around. But obviously, could be the number 1 pitcher he was this time last year, and the skills are still there. And there goes Juan Soto, a couple Nationals. Can't really go wrong with that. So will Jose Ramirez turn around to me, or will Pianowski snipe me? Because Ramirez is the guy if I want him, if he doesn't take him. Come on, Scott. I should probably have a backup in mind. Oh, he made it easy for me. He took Walker Buehler. I like it when they make it easy. So Buehler to Pianow. And I'm going J-Ram. I should probably make the pick before I turn him off. All right, Jose Ramirez. I like that core. No pitchers, but that's okay. I have a few in mind that I'm going to take on the 3-4. Remember I was talking earlier in the 3-4 turn, there are not many hitters that I like at that turn. So I don't mind at all stocking up on 2 hitters and just grabbing one at the 3-4. I like to kind of strategize and draft backwards from that. So I'm stoked with that combo. Honestly, could have flipped him. I could have gone Ramirez first round, Freeman second, but you never know. There goes Aaron Judge. Tatis to Zinke and JD. Oh, Tatis. I wasn't going to touch him. Some back issues, contact issues, but obviously the upside is massive. There's Devers to Rudy. Rudy goes to Grom and Devers. So far 5 pitchers. So we'll see if anyone double taps pitchers or how many other guys go double hitters like I did. All right, let me type in my team here. I got a little tab on my sheet where I don't really care too much about hitting targets and projections. I actually draft based off of my own version of the Mayberry method, which if you guys subscribe to Baseball HQ, you'll know what that is. And don't really go off the projections. But I do like to just track my team, obviously for positions, but just to make sure my categories are somewhat balanced. I think, the talk this preseason has been so much on steals and getting speed early. In a league like LABR where it's standalone and there's no overall, I'm not too concerned about steals. And here are the dogs playing with each other, so that'll be good. Not even a recycling bin. All right, so a couple questions from you all. Let's see. Soto, baby. Soto. Guess I messed that up. Yancey, Freeman, and J-Ram is so sexy, I guess. Red Bull for the win. David asks, starting pitcher next or best available? That's a great question. Probably best available. The pitchers I'm looking at the three... Oh, this thing's talking to me. My bad. Technical difficulties. Best available or starter? Probably best available. The starters that I'm looking at the 3-4 that I have highlighted on my sheet are Luis Castillo, who's going like mid to late third round. Might fall to me. Patrick Corbin. No one really talks about him, but he's as steady and reliable as anybody. Clayton Kershaw is going in the 4th, so maybe I try and get cute and wait till the 4th to take Kershaw and grab a hitter if one's available in the 3rd that I really like. Javier Baez or Charlie Blackmon. And then maybe Yu Darvish. Those are the 4 pitchers that I'm looking at right now. Notice I didn't mention Giolito, Nola, or Paddock. Giolito and Paddock, just track record-wise, love what they did last year, but I want to see him do it again if I'm going to go and pick that early. So Aaron Nola, he's fine, but I think the skills of a Corbin, Kershaw, Castillo, and Darvish are better than that. So we'll see. We'll see what the draft gives me here as we turn around. Get caught up on some picks. Clevenger to Gardner. So Gardner starts Cody Bellinger and Mike Clevenger. That's a mouthful, but that's nice. Love the Mookie Betts, Anthony Rendon start. God, that's pretty good. Kind of wish I was drafting 5. Those beers for Allen must be giving him luck. All right, just marking some guys off. Thoughts on Paddock? Kind of touched on that earlier. I'd like to see a 3rd pitch. I would like to see another year of track record before I take him in the 3rd or 4th round. And this probably isn't a huge consideration, but it sounds like Paddock's going to be on an innings limit of like 180 innings, which if he gets to 180, like that's a win. So I'm not too concerned about that, but that's his absolute ceiling in terms of innings for 2020. So I don't like taking a guy who's already absolutely capped at 180. So guys like Castillo and Corbin have gone. I think Castillo's gone like 200. And Corbin obviously has as well. So I like that volume out of my first starter. And we've got Pete Alonso in the 2nd LOL from Yancey. That's surprising. I wouldn't do it, but get your power. You need power. You need a lot of power. I think that's not said enough. We talk about steals, but you need more power than ever. I think you need... I said this at First Pitch Arizona. You need like 26 home runs on average per player, including catchers, to finish like 80th percentile in the NFBC last year in homers. Like, if you take a couple 10 home run guys, I mean, you've really fallen behind. So, again, Alonso, I wouldn't be for me, but To each their own. The pick I do love is right after that, man. Starling Marte. I kind of considered Marte in the early second round instead of J-Ram, but actually, that's a good pick. I'm a huge Starling Marte fan. He's kind of polarizing in the industry, but I think the 5-category production, man, to pair Trout with Marte, Steinhorn, that's a pretty beautiful start. Altuve, Bieber on the opposite wheel. Let's see if Zach, how he continues to stack team here. I'd probably take Snell here. Let's see if he goes pitcher. Snell and Sale are the first two guys, pitchers on the board right now per ADP. Is Snell a player you reach for or settle for this year? Snell, man, I've never seen someone coming off a bad year like this go so early in drafts. Like 10 years ago, Snell would have been like a 5th-round pick. He's the same, skill-wise, he's the same pitcher he was when he won the Cy Young. But you're pretty much getting no discount. I'm okay with the price with Snell in the 3rd round, but I was hoping when we were writing the forecaster and doing all that before ADPs came out that there'd be some kind of discount, but there really is not. And speaking of Blake Snell, there he goes. So that's Steinhorn's first pitcher off the board. Again, I love what he's doing so far with Trout and Marte. And Balake. So I'm sure, Yancey, you're thrilled there with that Blake Snell. And there's Podhorzer with Adalberto Mondesi. So that's something that's really interesting. So what Podhorzer just did is he racked up 45, probably maybe 60 home runs and maybe 60 steals combined between Alonso and Mondesi if both of those guys hit. And so you kind of take that. That's 230-30 players at the 2-3 turn. Yes, there's some batting average concern there, but I see what he did. You know, if he hits on those two guys and gets 60-60, that'll work. That'll play. Tom, Altuve, a 3rd rounder. Wow. I'm not sure if you think that's too high or too low. I'm totally fine with Altuve at that price. You know you're going to get the elite batting average. Gardner took Baez, jumped ADP for him. So there goes that idea. Altuve, you know you're going to get the elite batting average, but will the power spike from last year stick? Will the steals remain gone? Don't know. I definitely don't think, and I was on SiriusXM before the draft started, I definitely don't think we should be downgrading Astros because of the whole trash can thing. I think the splits, the numbers show that they were just fine home away, and a lot of these guys were just fine in 2018 and 2019. Now, we don't know what was going on in 2018 and 19, but, I mean, guys like Bregman, Altuve, and Springer, I'm not really discounting those guys that much. That was Baez on my sheet. Okay. So yeah, I was hoping Baez would fall. I've never actually owned Baez. I've always kind of been off of him, and I don't know why, but his ADP has dropped this year. Brian Rudd for Baseball HQ wrote a really good Facts and Flukes column on Baez. I think it was last week, saying, again, this is pretty much the same guy that was going even late 1st round or in 2nd round last year. So I love that pick from Gardner in the 3rd round. So draft's starting to come back to me, I think. I don't even know how long the clock is. I thought it was 1-minute picks, but I guess it's 2. And running? Oh, there is no clock. in the draft chat, I think we will need a clock. Yeah, probably. Frank, I agree with you, man. Baez value is amazing. Yeah, that's awesome. Snagged him at 3-7 into DC. Yeah, I would have. I wasn't getting my hopes up that Bios would fall to me at 43, but it's happened. That's not too far off his ADP, but sharp room. Gardner's a smart guy, obviously defending champ. Guy knows what he's doing. So, as we get closer, let's see. Oh, and there goes Blackman. There go my two hitters that I was really targeting. Damn. So, as we get closer, we can go first base. There's not really anyone I want to take in the third. Same at third base, not anyone I really want to take. Second base, maybe Albies or Ketel Marte. There goes Gleyber Torres. Not huge on Torres this year. VR is probably the top guy ADP-wise that's available at middle infield. There goes Austin Meadows. Erickson, I was going to take Austin Meadows. Come on, man. Good pick. I wrote Meadows in the forecaster and gave him an upside grade of Meadows being a first rounder this time next year. The price has gone up a lot. I didn't think he'd be this expensive in drafts, but he is. There goes Albies. So let's see what pitchers are on the board. I could take Chris Sale's still available. No, he just went to Spore. So I was just talking about the pitchers I'd want to take. Luis Castillo or Corbin. Those guys are options for me. And let's see what hitters we might have. 2 picks away. Zinke and Flowers. I'm guessing one of those 2 pitchers will be available. Flowers does not take pitchers early. Ketel Marte. Maybe. Suspense. I love drafting. This is awesome. Let's see what these guys go. JT Realmuto. 3rd round to Zinke. All right, I'm on deck. 68. And I am now up. All right. Top hitter I've got left is Springer or Ketel Marte. I'm going to go with the consistency with George Springer and hope, well, I know that a pitcher's going to fall back. So, again, this is strategy in play, kind of talking as I'm on the clock here. But I know that, Marte went to Pisapia. Yes, so I'm taking Springer. Good call. That's why live streaming and drafting is difficult. But I'm going to take Springer. Again, there's those same 3 or 4 starters that I'm fine with taking any of them. So I'm going to let the draft dictate it to me and let Pianowski and Stefania, even if they take it, they've each taken a pitcher already. So I'm willing to hedge that, they both won't go pitcher this next round. So in terms of ranking, Castillo, Corbin, or Kershaw, if anybody wants to chime in there, I've got them all pretty damn close. So maybe these people will help me decide. Whit Merrifield by Pianowski, that's a strong pick. I wonder how much the stolen base total is going to rebound, but if it does, that's great value. And yeah, at this point, I am definitely going to take a pitcher just because there's not a hitter that completely stands out to me, and there are a few pitchers that I like, so that makes it pretty easy for me. Yeah, let me know who you guys would take, Kershaw, Castillo, or Corbin, and I'll show you how much I agree or disagree. And there goes Corbin. So that helps. Love Patrick Corbin. Slider's a beautiful thing to watch. My wife says, Yancey. My wife says you sound like Matthew McConaughey. I get that every time. All right. Castillo or Kershaw? Who are you people taking? Again, if it's this close, could go either way. Tough call. I'm going to go Kershaw.
The pick is in.
Clayton Kershaw.
Clayton, not what you were, but let's get one more good year out of here.
Alright, let me update my sheet here. George Springer, Kershaw. I like it so far. I like it so far. Again, really wish Baez or Blackman or Meadows would have made it back to me. That would have been awesome in the third. I was really hoping one of those three would bring it back. I'm okay with Springer there. I'm not thrilled with it. Oh well. Alright, I'm seeing a lot of Castillos in the comments. I'm not seeing any Kershaws. So, thanks guys. We agree. That's awesome. Let's see where Castillo goes. You always kind of second guess yourself when you're deciding between a couple of guys and the guy you didn't pick goes right after you. Whatever. VR just went to Ray Flowers. Can't believe I missed the Kettle Marte pick. That's bad. It's not a bad pick. It's bad that I missed it. It's been a long day. Not enough Red Bull. Or Tito's, as some of you would. Stefania with 3 straight Nationals. Yeah, I guess that's right. Scherzer, Soto, Corbin. Anthony Rizzo, he's an interesting cat. That's a lot earlier than where he's typically been going. He's been going in, I think, early to mid-5th round in NFBC drafts. Rizzo, I had a couple bloom boards on Rizzo early, I guess in December, saying that he's not really the power bat that a lot of people think he is. I think a lot of folks assume you can shoe Rizzo in for 30 home runs. I'm not so sure anymore. He's still a fine player. He's going to get the counting stats, the runs, RBIs, and he's going to hit for a good batting average. But the fly ball rate and the hard contact is heading south. But that's a fine. Let's see. There goes Castillo to Spore. So obviously, you guys who told me to take Castillo are probably right instead of Kershaw. But hey, it's my team. Keston Hira, I had ranked pretty high on my sheet, but I just worry about the contact issues and kind of the sophomore adjustments. Not sophomore slump, but just the adjustments that pitcher's going to make to him. Xander Bogaerts. Okay, I got him. There goes Giolito to Pisapia. The Black Book. Rudy's team is fire, says Yancey. Who's Rudy got? DeGrom, Devers, Albie, Stanton. A small fire. It's fire, but I'm not. Well, Stanton's boom or bust. That guy could be really good or really bad. So boomer bust guys like that for me in the top like 6 rounds are just not. I'm team floor. So. Here goes Vlad Jr. to Joe Sheehan. And this is not a commercial, but if you don't subscribe to Joe Sheehan's newsletter, it is fantastic. He is, in my opinion, the best baseball writer in the entire industry for real baseball. He's a magician, and his newsletter comes to your email directly. So if you're at work, just pull up your email, read a little newsletter. Don't have to go to a website. It's pretty good. Highly recommended. All right, Alan's back on the clock, and this time there is a clock. So let's see how he deals with that. Kind of want to see what the Twitter chatter is. I haven't gone on Twitter at all or seen what my notifications are, and that's probably a good thing. I got too much crap going on with this wonderful live stream that we're on. Joe is salty on Twitter. Joe is the only one. He's a good guy. All right, there goes Aaron Nola. Again, for an ace, Nola's not really my guy, but if you're going to wait till the end of the 4th to take your first starter, he's fine. He'll get you for as much as all starters are risky. He'll get you those 180 innings. They're probably not going to be ace-worthy. That 2018 season is a pretty big outlier in my opinion. Just doesn't miss enough bats, but he's stable. If I take Nola in like the 4th round, I'm beefing him up with stronger strikeout guys as my SP2 and SP3 if I'm constructing my rotation that way. Because I think he needs some help there. Paul Goldschmidt goes to the end of the 4th round at Gardner again. I love Goldschmidt. I've taken Goldschmidt. I've done 2 drafts so far this draft season towards 6th and 2nd, and I have taken Goldschmidt in each of those drafts in the 5th round. And that's a round where his ADP is kind of mid to early 5th round, and I think that's an absolute bargain. The steals aren't coming back, but God, that guy is a 4-category contributor. I would take him over Rizzo, over Alonso, not Freeman, but Goldschmidt's my number 3 first baseman behind Bellinger and Freeman. There goes Greinke. We love Greinke at HQ. His projection is sky high. So stable, but so old. I don't know. One of these years. I know you could say that for the last 4 years, and you've missed out on great production each of the last 4 seasons. So, who am I to say? It's a fine pick. Strasburg at target. Strasburg already went. John says a healthy starter might help your staff when Kershaw gets hurt. If Kershaw gets hurt. Come on, people. He pitched what? How many innings did Kershaw pitch last year? 180 innings last year, 161 the year before, and 175 the year before that. So Clayton Kershaw, for as much as we think he's a huge injury risk, the lowest number of innings he's pitched in the last 3 seasons is 161 innings. So if I can get 175, 180 with those elite ratios, I'm cool with it. But you're right, I probably do need a high-volume starter pretty soon, a guy with strikeouts, so keep that in mind. Steinhorn just got skipped. I don't know how that happened. Must have timed out. That's interesting. Still like his team, even without a 4th-round pick. All right, so coming back at the 5-6, I know we've still got some time, but just to take you through my thoughts as we go. This is around where your first closers are going to go. So haters like Josh Hader's mid-5th round. Kirby Yates is early 6th round. I'm not going to go for one of those guys. I like closers a little bit later. 9th, 10th round ADPs, but every draft is different, so we'll see where closers start going as we get to the middle rounds. Some of the pitchers that I'm looking at the 5-6 turn, again, just by ADP, there are guys higher on the board that if they fall, take a shot. Syndergaard, Noah Syndergaard's going at the end of the 5th round. Bauer, early 6th round. James Paxton, early 6th round. Brandon Woodruff, early 6th as well. So, honestly, my top pick out of that bunch, given that I started with Kershaw, is probably Syndergaard. Just because of the innings and the strikeouts. Ratios might be a little bit shaky, but Kershaw's got that covered for me. Again, I think having like straight rankings for your starting pitchers is, a good guide, but I'm willing to jump ranks based on how I've constructed my staff. So again, I'm looking for those volume strikeout guys to pair with Kershaw. Another guy I kind of like in the early 6th is James Paxton. But pairing Paxton with Kershaw is not great, Bob. And I mentioned Syndergaard as a volume guy. Obviously, he's had injuries in the past. 2018, though, threw 154 innings, and then last year threw a 197. Honestly, how much more can you ask for out of volume if you're taking someone coming off a 197-inning season? Obviously, he's done it before in that case, and that's good enough for me. So I do consider Syndergaard as a volume guy. The crowd says Darvish. Yeah, so, Tom, that's a great point, and I didn't mention Darvish. I mentioned Darvish as a possible 3-4 turn. So if that guy sticks around until my 5th round pick, I'm absolutely taking you, Darvish. Looks like something happened with the draft. Like no picks have gone off in the last few minutes. It sounds like Darvish is going to go to Tim at Prospects 361. So there goes Machado. Now we're back. And Darvish. Good pick, Tim. Let's see what he comes back with. Matt Olson's still on the board. He's an early... Oh, no. He's at about ADP. Oh, there goes Matt Olson to Tim. Couple hitters I'm targeting. 5th, 6th turn. Guys that I have highlighted. Yohan Moncada. Bo Bichette. Tommy Pham, Ramon Laureano. Love all those guys. I'm definitely going to grab one of those guys, and hell, maybe even two. I don't know. Going through that list of pitchers, there's not many volume guys available. If Syndergaard's the top volume guy. Again, guys like Glasnow, Bauer, I guess, is volume, but those ratios are a little scary. Didn't take long for the first Iowa joke. Iowa is running this draft. Not bad, not bad. All right, there goes Suarez. Was wondering where Eugenio Suarez would go. Didn't drop that much. I was thinking if he dropped to like the 7th round, 7th, 8th turn for me, I'd take it, but that's not going to happen. So Zach obviously believes that the shoulder surgery is not that serious, and Suarez will be fine. So And there goes Syndergaard to Podhorzer. Damn. So the volume guys are fading quickly. So here's what I might look at. Let's see what the 7-8 turn. Let's see what pitchers are available. Again, thinking a couple rounds ahead. Guy I've highlighted is Carlos Carrasco. I love his value, 7th, 8th round, but volume, I don't know. Kluber, I don't know. Soroka, Gray, Barrios. Maybe he's going mid-6th round. Maybe I grab Barrios at the end of the 6th, but probably not. Definitely got a pitcher run here. Wow. Syndergaard, Morton, Paddock, Glasnow, dogs barking. It's not even a recycling bin. Finn, quiet. Shh. Starting pitcher run big time. That's interesting. Top pitcher I've got left is Severino, and I'm not touching him. Too much injury risk for me. Okay, Donaldson. Wow, Donaldson. Two full rounds ahead of ADP. Minnesota, obviously, you got to love the lineup. One thing with Minnesota I worry a little bit about is like in April, man. It's freezing up there, and Donaldson's had calf issues in the past. If he can make it to early summer when it warms up, he'll be fine. But Josh Donaldson playing in the snow is a little worrying to me. But obviously, if he's healthy, that's a fine pick in the 5th round. Ooh, Jeff takes Bo Bichette. So there goes a hitter off of my board. So hitters I'm down to that I would love to take are Pham and Laureano. Perhaps Moncada. He has not gone yet. Interesting. Though Moncada at third base, so we'll see. Can't really take Moncada if I've got Freddie Freeman and Jose Ramirez at 1st and 3rd already. I don't really care too much about clogging up positions, but to go 1st, 3rd corner is tough, and he might not even be around by the time I'm there. Oh, and there goes Pham to Rudy. That's a strong pick. Strong room. I take Laureano. I think Laureano might be my guy if he's still available, just because I like him a lot more than any hitter that's on the board right now, and I'm okay trying a couple different pitchers in the 6th round. So let's see if he falls. Victor Robles goes to Sporer. The only guy per ADP, the only guy ahead of Laureano on the board right now is Eloy. There goes Josh Hader. First closer off the board. And let's see who Ray takes. Oh, and he goes Barrios. So I am up. I said I was going to take Laureano. Just making sure he's my top hitter off the board. Again, I'm okay with a few of these different pitchers right now, so I'm going to see what the draft gives me. And go with Ramon. I kind of view Laureano and Pham as similar type players from a projection standpoint in their categories. I would have taken Pham in front of Laureano just because I think he's a little bit safer. But Laureano, there's a little bit more variance there, but with that, there's more upside. So I'm okay with that. And let's see what pitcher falls back to me. Zach Wheeler just went. Wheeler's not really a target for me, so I'm cool with that. Again, my top pitchers right now would be, in this range, would be Woodruff, Paxton, Bauer. Severino is the top ADP guy, unless I missed him. No, Severino's still available, but too much injury risk for me. There goes Moncada, Eddie Rosario, 2 hitters there. So I'm going to get my pick of Bauer, Paxton, or Woodruff. See what the crowd says. No suggestions for who I should take here. Not that I completely ignored all of your Luis Castillo suggestions. I think I'm going to go Paxton. Kershaw Paxton start. Well, there's some issues with that. I think I started Kershaw Paxton in my first pitch Arizona draft. Either that or my first draft champions. Should probably spread the wealth a little bit here. HQ actually has Woodruff projected for the highest value over Paxton and Bauer and Severino, but I just need to see more volume from Woodruff before I go there. Pianowski just timed out and took Benintendi. Hope that's right. Yeah, I'm cool with Big Maple. Welcome to the squad, man. Still wish you were out here in the Pacific Northwest, but that's all right. So again, just plugging in my guys, seeing how my roster's shaking out. Looking pretty good in speed. Well, looking pretty good everywhere, but that's going to happen your first 4 hitter pick. So if you're not looking good after the first 6 rounds, pace-wise, you're doing something wrong. All right, so let's see. Bauer, Woodruff, Bauer, Paxton. Paxton is the only right answer. Bauer has 250 Ks as a floor. Yeah. And actually, Brian Rudd wrote up Bauer in the Forecaster this year. I believe it was Brian, because he was on my editing team. And Bauer's, again, I don't like to look too much into first, second half splits, but Bauer's skills in the second half, his ERA totally tanked, but that was kind of vintage Bauer from a swinging strike rate, from a ball percentage. The only thing was just an uptick in fly balls. So Bauer would have been a fine pick there. I don't know. The ratio downside concerns me a little bit. Strong pick. Thanks, Paul. Ken Rosenthal reporting Mookie and David Price to the Dodgers is almost there. Verdugo, the main piece, coming back. We're going to have a trade mid-labor? Damn. If anyone gets hurt, put that in the comments too. Mid-draft. All right. Max Muncy. Muncy, great hitter. That's a fine pick. Available or eligible pretty much anywhere. There goes Eloy. So again, Eloy was the only outfielder ahead of Laureano on the board in terms of ADP. But I just want to get a little bit more balance in the early rounds. So Laureano's fine. There goes Severino to Jeff Erickson. At some point, someone's got to take him. He fell almost a round and a half from ADP. So I'm guessing Jeff wasn't targeting Severino, but you fall so far that you got to pull the trigger at some point. He did that last year with Gary Sanchez. Gary Sanchez fell like 3 rounds below ADP. And Jeff said like he wasn't even targeting Gary Sanchez, but took him like 100th overall. And at some point, even if you're quote-unquote out on a guy, everyone has a price. Really interested about this Red Sox-Dodgers trade. Pisa Pia, great pick, Jose Abreu. I think Jose Abreu is undervalued. Probably would have been a fine pick for me as well in the 6th round earlier, but again, I've got first and third base clogged up, so I don't want to fill my corner this early in the draft. But Jose Abreu, I've got him right in line with just below Goldschmidt, but right in line with like Rizzo, who went a round and a half before. Michael Conforto. So just an early preview what I'm thinking on the 7-8 turn. Got to start thinking closers a little bit. I mentioned before there's a whole swath of closers going like 9th and 10th round. Late 9th, early 10th. So what I'm thinking to myself is, if there are no closers taken like in the 7th round or just 1 or 2, do I want to wait another wheel pick to take those guys? Or if there's an early closer run here in the 7th, do I take my closer in the 7th or 8th? I definitely do want to take at least one closer who has skills and has the job. I hate working fab for closers. It's just from a time standpoint, a sanity standpoint. I know closers are typically not great investments, like a third of them that start the year as a closer do not end the year as a closer, but still there's a handful of closers that I like going in this next wave that's going to go that I want to target. So that's going to be interesting. What I don't want to have happen is I don't take a closer at 7 or 8 and then the closer run starts throughout the whole 8th and then coming back to me in the 9th and I don't have too much coming back. That's the part of the wheel where you're like, you can really get screwed if you miss those runs, but we'll see. I'm thinking a little bit ahead of myself, but see what happens here in the 7th. Podhorser's team construction fascinates me. So just took Joey Gallo. I would say he's punting batting average with Gallo, Pete Alonso, and Mondesi, and just going with homers and steals. But he did start with Christian Yelich, so that gives you a good batting average cushion. He's probably eroded that away by now, but very interesting team construction from Podhorser. Again, you can take these picks. We're saying Pete Alonso in the 2nd round is not a great value, but let's see how these teams are constructed together. When you pair an Alonso with a Mondesi with a Gallo, he is kind of going all in with an all eggs in one basket power speed. Interesting way to do it. I wouldn't do it personally. Because those guys have to hit and you're building your roster around those guys hitting. Like if Mondesi doesn't hit in steals, that strategy kind of goes down the crapper. But if they hit, you're sitting pretty. There goes Trevor Bauer. Lasted all the way till the end of the 6th round. Woodruff still not off the board. Okay. 3rd team possible in the Red Sox trade. That's fantastic. Ryan, are you left-handed? Yes, I am left-handed all the way. I pitched left-handed. I play golf left-handed. I write left-handed. Hey, there's Will Garofalo. What's up, Will? How's it going, man? Nice to see you make it. My fellow Oregonian. All right, catcher off the board. Mr. Grandal goes ahead of Gary Sanchez, unless I missed something. No. Okay. Not really looking at catcher yet in the 7th, 8th. Guys like Sanchez, Grandal, Garver's going in the 9th, but I'm still not looking at catcher yet. LABR's a 2-catcher league, just like your normal, your standard format. Josh Bell. One of the harder men to project. One guy who's really falling so far is DJ LeMahieu, mid-5th round ADP. Eligible at 1st, 3rd, and 2nd. And still on the board here as we go to the 7th round. Who saw that coming last year? Leave Coors, which is a little bit overstated. But go to the Yankees and have a career year. I don't know how you follow that up. Do I kick left-footed? Yes, I do kick left-footed. Will says, what's up, Ryan? How we feeling the first 6 rounds? Went Kershaw over Castillo? Yes. Despite everyone else telling me I shouldn't. They're both fine picks. Castillo would have been fine. All right, there goes Asuna. Asuna is a closer who I would have taken. He's actually my number 2 closer. I have him ahead of Chapman and Kirby Yates, despite who he is as a person. You don't get much more stable than Osuna from a skills, youth, and team role on a good team. So that's a strong pick. Steinhorn again, making good picks. Not surprising. Uh-oh. Cameron just woke up from a nap. It's almost bedtime for him, isn't it? Oh. There goes Gary Sanchez. All right. Coming up on my picks. Let's see. If Aroldis Chapman is available, I might take him there. Wanted to look at Moustakas. So, second base for me is really dwindling right now. There are not many guys I like at second. McNeil and LeMahieu are the top guys on the board. After that, there's not a whole lot there. So I might look at a second baseman here just from a position standpoint, and then kind of forget about it until later. Also need a shortstop. I don't have a middle infield yet at all. Probably need to take care of that. Shortstop, there are plenty of options. The 7th, maybe Tim Anderson. We'll see. A lot more outfielders I like on the board. I just want to draft outfielders all day. There goes Chapman. So, okay, I'm not taking a closer, at least in the 7th. Woodruff's still on the board. So pitchers I might look at, I mentioned before Carlos Carrasco going mid-8th round. I probably won't take Cookie in the 7th, but if he's sitting there coming back in the 8th, a little bit of a risky pick, but everything that I see is he's ready to go and he's going to start. And if that's the case, he's absolutely an ace. Hitters I'm looking at, again, I mentioned McNeil, LeMahieu, again, just out of like position need. Second base is falling apart quickly. So, here's the question, right? Do I take a second baseman, a guy who I'm okay with taking like a McNeil, or do I just keep pounding outfield and take, for example, the top guy on my board in outfield right now is Nick Castellanos. Absolutely love his landing spot. Love what he did with the Cubs. Really, once he got out of Detroit, I have him easily as the best player actually available on my board. Problem is, I like a lot of outfielders late in the draft too. So there's that balance, right? Yes, take the best guy in the early rounds, but at some point you got to start looking at positions here. So, there goes Carrasco to Rudy Gamble. Scratch that plan. All right, gang. McNeil or LeMahieu? Who do we like? Woodruff is gone. Did I miss Woodruff? Yes. Oh, Woodruff went a long time ago. Thanks, Dave. I'll use the live stream as an excuse for missing that. There goes LeMahieu. So again, might have my choice made up for me here if McNeil is available still. Uh-oh. Red Bull's running low. It's only the 7th round. So I think McNeil's my guy, just out of need right now. Thanks, Ray. You still have access to labor? You in here? DJ, but I'm sure you'll go the other way. Yeah, Jake. Ask for everyone's advice and ignore it. Oh, there goes McNeil. So, second base is really going to suck for me. I'm not going to reach for a second baseman now at this point. Bumgarner, that's a 2-round jump from ADP, but again, screw that. Screw ADP. That's a fine pick. And now I'm up. So I was talking up Castellanos as easily the top guy left on my board, and without a middle infielder that I really like, he's going to be my pick. I may regret that later in the draft with some of the outfielders I really like late, but I like Casty too much. So I'm going to take him. And kind of while I'm going here, I'm looking at who I'm going to take in the next round. I hate to use my entire clock up, but it's only a minute. That's something I like to do, actually, is when I have my pick, bleed the clock and look for my next one. All right, so there goes Casty. And maybe I do go closer here. Top closers, ADP-wise, Liam Hendricks, Brad Hand, Taylor Rogers. There's, as I say the word Brad Hand, he's off the board to Pianowski. I don't think Pianowski's listening to the stream. I don't think anyone in the draft is. If they are, they don't need to worry about me. I think it's delayed like 30 seconds anyway, but I think that's just how it rolls. So closers are going well before their ADP in this draft. And that's something that when you're doing your own drafts, keep note, especially with closers. Like, the ADP is really just a guide for where those tiers are. But if you've got an early closer run like this, these closers going in the 9th, 10th round are not going to go in the 9th or 10th. And there goes another closer, Kenley Jansen, off the board. And unless Pianowski double taps, I'm going to get the guy I want. And that's Taylor Rogers. And Pianow took Jorge Polanco. Thank you, Pianow, for not sniping me twice on the same turn. All right. Taylor Rogers, come on down. .30 saves last year. Yes, he's left-handed, but that didn't affect his usage too much with the Twins. The Twins are going to be a great team in a pretty shitty division. So I think the save ops are going to be there. I'm fine with that. I'm good with that. The man in this draft who I really, or in this live stream who I really should be listening to is Phil DeSalt. Phil, I hope I pronounced the last name right. Phil won the main event league that I was in, drafting in New York. And Phil says, take Liam Hendricks before the closer run starts. So again, going against people smarter than me, but that's all right. Hendricks is fine. I just worry about the track record with Hendricks. You could kind of say the same thing with Rogers, but I guess Hendricks has been fine for a couple of years, but I don't know. Closers are so freaking hard to predict. But it's interesting. So Edwin Diaz just went before Hendricks, and I don't think Hendricks, yeah. So Hendricks is still on the board, and Sporer just took Edwin Diaz over Kyle Hendricks. Edwin Diaz, I sent out a tweet about him. I forget exactly what it is, but he had over a 550 ERA last year, and he's the only person in the last, I keep ADP data in my database back like 8 years, and Edwin Diaz is the only pitcher coming off a 550 plus ERA to go in the top 300 the following year. And he's going like 150. And in this draft, he went, like 120? So you're paying for the rebound with Edwin Diaz. But I think it's going to happen. And there goes Shohei Ohtani. So Ohtani, LABR is a weekly league with it locks, and unlike NFBC, you can't change hitters midweek. You can't change hitters or pitchers midweek, so Ohtani is a weekly guy. I talked about this on Sirius with the guys right before we started, and Ohtani in a weekly format for me is not worth an 8th round pick. Obviously, the talent is just absurd, but you're making that weekly decision. Do you start him once, and he's probably just going to start once a week? Or do you put him in as a hitter for 3 to 4 DH appearances? I think you almost kind of have to start him every week and play him as a pitcher. Right now, at least. We'll see, what his health is as we get closer. But you're not getting the maximum value out of Ohtani in a weekly league. Again, that might be just fine still in the 8th round. He's that talented. But for me, I'm not going there. If you're in a daily league, Ohtani, I think, is like a legit 3rd to 4th rounder. If you can put him in, if you know he's starting pitcher that day, throw him in as a pitcher, and then you can obviously put him in the days as DHing. Like, that's golden if you can get both sides of him. All right. Enough talking about Ohtani. Let's see who's going. Jorge Soler. Erod. Erod, that's a 2-round jump from ADP. And I know I'm slaving over ADP. I talk about it so much. That's how I organize my my players, just from a marketplace standpoint. I can pick them off the top as they're drafted and just look at my own rating next to their ADP and see where those pockets of value are showing up. But Erod was pretty far down the list in ADP, going behind like a Max Fried, Frankie Montas, Zach Gallen. But we'll see. I don't know if he'll get plenty of wins with Boston. That's always kind of the assumption. But if that Mookie Betts deal is happening, it might not happen. Sorry, Ray. I know you're a Red Sox guy, but price to the Twins. What? Did the Twins trade Taylor Rogers to not be a closer? God. Marcell Ozuna. Liam Hendricks still on the board. Ozuna's a fine pick. He kind of snuck out there. He was my second highest rated outfielder behind Castellanos, but I like Casty a little bit more. But surprised Ozuna fell that far. That's a strong pick from Allen. Allen, interestingly, I didn't pick up on this the last time, but he double tapped closers in the 6th and 7th, went Kirby Yates and Chapman, along with Nolan Paddock. So investing a lot in pitching, 4 pitchers in a row from rounds 4 through 7. So Brantley. Little outfielder run, Mercado. If you want some steals, that's a strong 5-category guy. Looking at my own team, again, I mentioned this earlier, but just going to do a quick check of categories. I don't really draft off projections at all, but my team right now is projected for a 287 batting average. In LABR last year, 269 would have finished in 3rd place. So I've got a little bit of batting average cushion to play with. And I'll keep that in mind when considering batting average only guys like a Michael Brantley who just went. Obviously, I can't take him, but I've got that batting average cushion built up, so I can focus a little bit more on the counting stats as we go. And then homers and steals are looking decent, but again, with your first 5 hitters, that's always going to happen. So far, pretty balanced. I'm okay. I'm okay category-wise. So it's good, but after every wheel, just to check and make sure I'm not falling too far back in a certain category. Sonny Gray, he fell a lot. Ahmed Rosario. That's a nice pick. He's someone who I would get targeted at shortstop. I still have a middle infielder, so might be time to fix that again. I don't like second base that much. But we'll see. It's kind of funny, someone who I've never owned before is Carlos Correa, and he's just sitting there in the 9th round. Man, that could be interesting. Top 2 shortstops that I've got on the board right now, for me, are Elvis Andrus and Correa. I would have taken Rosario over both of them, but Tim took it. Sonny Gray. Ooh, Steinhorn jumps ADP by a lot and takes Lorenzo Cain. Love Lorenzo Cain as a rebound. I mentioned, for those of you that were here at the beginning of the stream, I took Cain, I think, in the 3rd round of LABR last year, and yeah, that didn't work. Paul Martin says, don't fall for Correa. I know, I've never owned him, but when has Carlos Correa gone in the 9th round before? There goes Carlos Correa in the 9th round. Podhorser just grabbed him. So he was bound to go eventually. 9th round for Correa, we're getting later in the draft to where I'm okay with taking a little bit of risk. Would have strongly considered him there. All right, so this is also a spot where I might look at catcher, just because I'm not seeing a whole lot of hitters. I don't want to take another outfielder and clog that up. Again, there's a bunch of guys I like late in the draft at outfield. I'm pretty clogged at first and third base. Took those with my first 2 picks. So I could either go middle infield if anyone sticks out. If no one really sticks out, that's where I might lean and take a catcher. LABR is a Fab League, $100 Fab with a minimum of $1 bids. So I normally like to stream my second catcher in like NFBC formats where it's still $1 minimum. I think maybe it's $0, but it's $1,000 Fab. So you can really stream your second catcher that way each week based on matchups. In LABR, it's a little tougher with just the $100 Fab. Phil, there goes your boy, Liam Hendricks. Gardner. Phil and Gardner say Liam Hendricks, so that's probably a strong pick. Justin Turner, another guy who I think is going way too late in drafts right now. That's a strong pick by Allen. Allen's putting together a really good team. Really like what he's doing. Top catchers that I've got, Mitch Garver and Wilson Contreras. Might look at Contreras if he's on the board here. Just because we're starting to get to the point where there's a big drop-off in catcher, and Contreras at least is a solid contributor. So I'm going to put him in my queue. See if he falls. Again, mostly because I'm somewhat ambivalent to some of the other hitter options. No one really stands out as someone I need to get right now. Paul Martin says, might as well just wait and take Seager at shortstop. I'm assuming Corey Seager. Yeah, Corey's. I've got him highlighted on my sheet here. That is as a 10th round pick. That's solid. So, or no, he's going mid 11th round. Interesting. Will Smith just went. Sheehan took Will Smith ahead of Wilson Contreras. That works for me. There goes Corey Kluber. No idea how to project Corey Kluber. 9th round seems like a decent time to speculate, but man, there's some downside there. There goes Contreras and Andrews, 2 of the top guys I just put in. So just put Wilson Contreras in my queue, and there he goes. So, Paul, to your point, just wait and take Seager. Seager is now the top shortstop off the board per ADP. So if I want to get him, I need to take him at the 9-10. There goes Ken Giles. That's a good pick. He's the last of the really strong closers with strong skills that I've got there. All right. Crunch time. Do I take a Mitch Garver? Catchers are rough. Let's see, second base. No one's really jumping out at me. I kind of hate that feeling as someone who I absolutely want to take here. Lance Lynn, fine with that. And I am on deck. Oh, Cameron's my 8-year-old son. Cameron is yapping away over there. Dave, is this a 2-catcher league? Yeah, it's 2-catcher league. I mean, Garver, God, if he does what he did last year, he's not going to, but had no idea he was going to hit 31 home runs. That's crazy. All right, Scott Kingery. So I am up. Who do I want to take? All right. I'm going to go Seager. He's highlighted on my sheet. Can't go wrong, right? Not super thrilled with it. But if he's healthy this year, I think he is. He's another year removed from pretty major surgery, so. And obviously has the prospect pedigree like no other, so. Seager it is. I'm lukewarm with it, but you're not going to love all your picks, right? All right, coming back. And right after there goes Mitch Garver, who I was thinking about. That's fantastic. All right. So is there a second closer I'd be interested in taking? Guys who I've got here, Hector Neris, Iglesias, Kimbrel, I don't know. I've only got 2 starters at this point, and again, I'm not super thrilled. And there goes Wilson Ramos above ADP. So catchers are going early. I missed the boat on catchers, so maybe should have gone Garver and gotten Seager on the rebound, but you never know. Hindsight's 20/20. Okay. Looking starting pitcher here, just because all I have so far is Kershaw and Paxton. This is somewhat of a helium guy, but we loved him in the forecaster. And he is my top pitcher left. So, Max Fried, welcome to the squad. Like him as an SP3. Cameron apparently likes that pick too. Yeah, in the forecaster we put an upside of Fried of 200 strikeouts, 3.25 ERA. Just love what he did last year. Missing bats. Second half was really strong. Getting ground balls. Lefty. Strong. Yancey, my wife wants to know what you do for a living, aside from producing lit baseball content. I work for the state of Oregon, Department of Education. I'm a data guy with them. So we report school performance, demographics, and we put out report cards for the public to look at. So if you're moving into a neighborhood, want to know how good the schools are, we collect and analyze all that data and publish it for the public to see. It's fun. I live in downtown Salem, Oregon, which is the capital, and work is just a couple miles away. So it's fun. I used to bike to work before I had this kid who I now have to take to daycare every morning. I will say that baseball writing does bleed into the day job quite a bit, but that's okay. Hey, Cameron. You want to bring him over? All right. Kid's getting his meds. Round 2. And then he's going to go to bed. Usually I give him a little bath every night, but my wife's taking over that duty tonight. Very nice of her. But I'll bring Cameron over to say hi before he goes up. All right, but hold up. Who's going here? Soroka just went. I like Fried obviously more than Soroka. There goes Kimbrel. Puig just went. Puig in the 10th round, that's strong. I think you're just getting a discount because he hasn't signed with a team yet. I'm guessing that'll change. Though I did say that last year about Craig Kimbrel and took him in my main event and in Tout Wars. And Craig Kimbrel never signed until June and pitched like 26 innings. So you can tell I'm not bitter about that at all. Moving on. quick look at my squad. What do we got? 3 outfielders. Still no second base, but I'm okay with that for now. 3 starters, a closer. So pretty balanced in terms of position-wise. I'm falling back a little bit in steals right now, which I'm okay with. Again, there's not an overall component, so we hear all the time on podcasts and analysts saying that speed's getting pushed up, you got to get your steals. To a certain extent, yes, but a lot of that analysis is based on an overall competition where, yes, you do have to get your steals. I'm okay with loading up on power in the other 4 categories and finishing middle of the pack in steals. You just don't need as many to compete. All right. Sorry, guys. Check in with you guys. Great pick, Ryan. Love Freed. Man, that's awesome. We have a uncle in Hermiston. All right, kids going to bed. Bring them in here. The benefits of drafting on the wheel. You get to say goodnight to your little buddy before you go to sleep. Here's Cameron. Say, hey, buddy. He loves computer screens. We try to keep him off, but he's analyzing the draft board now as well. What do you think of the team? What do you think of the team? You like it? All right. I like it too. So, yeah, Cameron just turned 8 months old, and it's been a fun year with him. Some ups and downs, but more ups. The ups are worth it, right? All right, bud. Say goodnight. Good night, YouTube. My kid just got facially recognized by Google, so oh well. So he's going to go off to the bath and then go to bed. Actually, it's a little bit, 6:45. A little bit late for him, but we usually give him the bath around 6:30 and goes to bed around 7. And he's been sleeping pretty good. 11, 12 hours. Every other night or so he'll wake up and fuss, but he's a good kid. All right, got to catch up here. Franmil Reyes. There goes Buxton. Ooh. Schwarber. Gallon, Kimbrel. Gallon's a nice pick. I don't have him highlighted. I go through my spreadsheet and compare, again, the ADP with my ranks, and I update the ADP constantly, but I go through and compare my ratings with ADP and highlight the guys who are good. And obviously, they stick out for me, and I don't have Gallon highlighted. It just didn't stick out enough in the ratios, but fine with Freed over him. Gavin Lux in the 10th. Gurriel. Gavin Lux might have been a strong second base pick. I still don't know how much. I don't know. Lux kind of scares me in terms of playing time in LA. You've got Muncy. I don't know. How much does Muncy play first versus second? LA loves to platoon. If there's any kind of slump from Lux, there could be some risk of him getting sent down. Obviously, the upside is massive. So, again, in the 10th round, that's where I'm okay embracing that risk. Robbie Ray just went. Probably shouldn't say this, but one closer I'd really love if he made it back to me is Hector Neris. Still got a long way to go, but I like the skills that he put up last year. I think he's cemented as the closer in Philly, but now that Kapler is gone. ADP is late 10th round, so there's a chance, but catchers are going earlier than ADP in this draft, so we'll see. Yancey, really cute kid. Thanks, man. John, second base, get Kevin Newman late, dual second base, shortstop eligibility. Newman is highlighted on my sheet. Going in the 13th round. So, again, as we get later in the draft, you almost do throw ADP out the window. Like, if you want to jump someone by 3 rounds, like, that's totally cool at this point. So maybe Newman coming back in the 12th is something I could do. He is my highest rated second baseman right now that's still on the board. One guy who's still on the board who kind of fascinates me, I have no idea how to project him, is Tommy Edman. Just the kind of guy who, like, has no track record at all, very unheralded as a prospect. So you've got that entire track record to go off of, and then you have last year, which was fully skill supported, but was like a half year. Those are the kinds of guys, it's like, what do you do with those guys? I mean, that was Jose Ramirez a few years back. It could turn out like that guy. Or it could have just been a flash in the pan, and you're spending a mid-ish round pick on a guy who has a half-year track record. So Tommy Edman really confuses me. I'm not sure what to do with him. I've got him rated pretty high, and HQ likes him on the projections, so maybe I should consider him. Alex Colomé, David Price just went. I don't even know what team David Price is on at this point. All right, we've got one of the bosses in here, Brent Hershey. Brent says Neris is cemented as much as any other closer in Philly, and that's good to hear, Brent. So now he'll go in LABR probably. But yeah, if Neris is still there, he's my guy. I'm not going to put him in my queue because the second I do that, he's going to get taken. There goes Colomé. What team did Price actually get traded? It would be good to know right now, actually. Maeda to the Twins. What? All right, I hate to get off Twitter, but if Maeda's on the Twins, Rosenthal says Kenta Maeda to the Twins for Graterol. So Maeda to the Twins. That is super interesting because he's away from LA. Don't like going to the AL, but will the Twins use him as a starter the whole year? I would think so. Their rotation's really not that great. Do I make that mid-draft adjustment? Maeda's going in the 14th round. Do I jump, take him 11-12? Probably. There goes Odorizzi. I wonder how many of the other LABR guys know that Maeda's been traded. That's not a fake Rosenthal account, is it? No, that's a real Rosenthal. Get punked during LABR. If anyone wants to type in the comments that trade actually happened, that would be awesome. Because, yeah, I might actually grab him. A lot of pitchers going and still not our boy Neris. Kyle Hendricks, the ratio stabilizer. David Price. Lamet. Erickson goes Edwin. Big fan of Edwin Encarnacion and where Edwin's going at that price. DHing most likely in Chicago and going super cheap in drafts. That's a great pick by Erickson. Erickson with a strong run here. Wilson Contreras, Zach Gallen, and Edwin. All right, getting crunch time. Should I put Neris in the queue or am I going to jinx it? All right, so it sounds official. Maeda is going to the Twins. So, the question is, do I double tap pitchers and get Neris and Maeda and then go hard late for hitters? I'm going to be really pitching heavy if I do that. That's the downside to going Maeda and Neris. High drama here. Mid-league trade. That's crazy. I don't think Maeda will come back to me in the 13th. I would be shocked if that happens. Oh, Spore knows. Spore's always in tune with it. Nice pick, Spore. Damn, Spore. That's crazy. That's awesome. A mid-draft trade, especially for a guy like Maeda. That's an awesome move for him. Not only with that division. Again, I talked about AL before, but the division. Being in the rotation all year, presumably. A lot of run support. Strong. All right, I am on deck. Will Flowers take Neris and double tap closers? Oh, he did. He took Neris. That's brutal. That is brutal. So now you got to kind of think on your feet in front of a live stream. Oh, man, Neris. Going to adjust a little bit. And I'll go Gene Segura. So he doesn't fit my team extremely well right now. But he'll be fine at middle infield. I like the bounce back potential from Segura. There goes Matt Boyd. Should have put Neris in the queue, Brent says. I never did it, but... Oh, that was rough. That was rough. I'm okay with Segura, though. I'm fine with that. Insert GIF. This is fine with the fire burning everywhere around you. All right, got to start thinking hitter. Well, could go pitcher as well. Adam Eaton. All right, let's see what's up. Davis. There's Haas. All right. All right. We're going to go. I know I got kind of sniped. You can tell I don't know who I'm picking here. But I'm going to go with a little bit of an upside pick. A little risky. Another outfielder, but David Dahl. I like that value a lot in the 12th. Ooh, that was intense. Hate getting sniped. But I'm good with Dahl there. The only problem is now I've got 4 outfielders, and going back to that well a little bit too much, but we'll see what's up. The other teams must have spies in the room, David says. I don't think so, man. Like, again, I'm the least of their worries. I finished 7th. I'm the new kid on the block. I guess last year I was, but... right after me, Justin Upton went to Ray Flowers. A little bit of red. I just don't know how that knee's going to hold up for Upton. If the knee's okay, like, yeah, in that lineup, 30-plus homer pop, that's an awesome deal. But at this point, especially with an early draft like this, we just don't have enough information from Upton. The last I read on him was he got that like platelet injection, some kind of injection in his knee, and that's the last report. So some risk there. J.D. Davis, consider J.D. in that spot as well. That's a strong pick from Sporer. Rudy takes Salvi Perez. Just catch up here. Kingery went, I think. Yeah. Sorry guys, I'm just catching up on my sheet. We'll probably take the stream a few more rounds. We're not going to go the whole deal. I think we've stayed steady. Yeah, we've stayed pretty steady so far with viewers. So thanks for sticking with me here. This has been a lot of fun. I haven't checked the comments as much as I wanted to, but I got a draft to do. So, but really appreciate the feedback, the comments. This has been awesome. Hope you all are enjoying it. We'll probably take it through like 15, 16. And then I'll cut it off after I make those 2 picks in the 16th round. Checking in on categories, starting to get a little light on power. And that kind of makes sense given I took a pitcher in the 8th round, a pitcher in the 10th round, and Gene Segura in the 11th. And Seager and Dahl aren't huge power bats. Their power's fine. So that's something that I'm going to look at. Again, I have that batting average cushion. I need to prioritize power here with my next few hitters. So we'll see if that narrative that you can get power late is actually true or not. I think it's true, but... All right, Willie Calhoun. I'll be back in 1 sec, guys. Sorry, I had to turn the TV down. Not to get political, but having Donald Trump talking in my right ear while I'm trying to draft is not ideal at all. All right, Nick Anderson. Yancey just chugged a Red Bull. That's not good. Yancey, it's 10 o'clock in Florida. What are you doing? Go to sleep. Danny Santana just went. Another guy. So I was talking about Edman before. You know, the guy with absolutely no track record and all of a sudden a fully skill-supported 1 year breakout. I mean, how do you project that guy? Not well. Could go anyway. Can play everywhere, so that's good. Hyunjin Ryu just went in the 12th round. That is really late for Hyunjin Ryu. The industry in general is pretty off on Ryu, but man, I think that's a bargain. Gardner again, of course. That guy can draft. Aquino, again, a guy not really in on. Not enough of a track record, and really, I mean, track record at this point, I can forgive that, but the contact skills, just there's a very really low floor with Aquino. All right. So now I got to think about catchers and closers again, just because I don't have a catcher. The ADP-wise, the next catcher off the board is until the late 14th, early 15th round. But that's something I need to look at 13, 14. I don't want to get stuck with two shitty catchers. And again, power. I am falling back in power. So I need to address that as well. So I might be tapping two hitters. We'll see. We shall see. It's always a balance, man. It's 15 teams. You're going to have holes. Leclerc goes as a closer. One closer and Ray Murphy, if you're here. Let me know what you think about Brandon Workman. If the managerless Red Sox, what they'll do with him, if he's the closer or not. Dave says, is Verdugo available? Yeah. Verdugo right now, for me, from a team construction, he's too light on power for me to go with, and obviously he's an outfielder, so he'd be my fifth outfielder. Can't really take him. Really love the skills for Verdugo, and again, I don't know if he's still on the Dodgers or not. The back injury worries me a little bit, and just some uncertainty there, but again, we're getting late enough into the draft where everyone's having warts, so Verdugo, if he's no longer a Dodger and can get everyday playing time and the back is okay, would be a fine choice at this stage in the draft. Mike Minor, not too thrilled with that pick. I love you, Tim, but Minor, he'll be a workhorse. He'll get some innings. And he might get that, 200 strikeouts that he just stayed in the game for on the last day of the season last year. First baseman dropping foul balls. Oh, there goes Workman. So, Ray, never mind. Don't indulge your intel if you're still here. So closers are really starting to die. There are two guys that I've got highlighted that I would take. I'm going to put them in my queue, Brent. So let's see what happens. Ian Kennedy and Joe Jimenez. Obviously, they're not on the best team. Or is Jimenez gone? What's up? No, he's there. Not on the best of teams, but that's fine. Kennedy really liked the velocity uptick and the skills that after he went from starter to reliever last year. I think Kansas City will win enough games. And again, with bad teams and closers, like look what Shane Green did at the beginning of 2019. I mean, that dude led the majors in saves for quite a while and pitching on Detroit. So I don't worry too much about team. I'm obviously much more concerned about role and skills. Malik Smith, again, a guy who's not really on my board. You just fall so far behind in homers, but if you've built up that power cushion, and it looks like Gardner has, he's worth a shot. But he's that all eggs in one basket kind of guy, and I don't know. Paul DeYoung. Does Jock to LAA sink Adele's redraft value? Jock Peterson's on the Angels? What is happening? Oh, you're off Twitter for 2 hours. You don't even know who's on what team anymore. All right. So going back to my plan here, 13th, 14th round. Again, no catcher yet that I have. There's a couple of guys that are going at around this rate that I kind of like. Carson Kelly's probably my top catcher on the board right now, and probably not going to make it back to me at the 15, 16. So he's high up on my queue right now. The two closers that I just mentioned, Ian Kennedy and Joe Jimenez, just because after those guys are gone, there ain't much left in terms of guys with the role and some semblance of skills. So I am looking at that pretty hard as well. So I might go catcher-closer at this turn. Unless, and I need to look at, don't have a 4 starter yet, but is there someone that really stands out to me starting pitcher-wise? And yes, there is. Makes it even tougher. The man, the myth, the legend, Joe Musgrove stands out as a pitcher who I would grab right about now. Can I have 3 or 4 picks at this turn? Miles Michaelis, so pitchers are flying off the board. So should I go closer? If I don't go closer, I'm really scraping for my second closer. If I don't go for that at the turn, do I take Musgrove, who is a guy who I absolutely love at this price? And do I also get a catcher who, the longer I wait with catcher, the deeper I fall into the cesspool. So a lot of things going through my mind at once. Kind of fun to talk it out with you guys. Matt McGill deserves more respect, I guess. I guess, Yancey. All right, Avisail Garcia has been taken. All right, so I'm thinking catcher closer here. Again, with the 13th slot, I can look at the two teams to the right of me and see who has what. So they each have one catcher. And Pianowski has one closer, and Stefania has has 2 closers. So she's not going to take a closer. Pianowski might take one closer, but I'm assured of Joe Jimenez or Ian Kennedy being available back to me at the other end of the wheel here in the 14th. So I'm going to go with the more scarce resource and go with Carson Kelly, who I really like skills-wise. This is taking him a round or 2 above ADP, but catchers seem to be going earlier in LABR than they are in NFBC. So I'm kind of going with that flow. Carson Kelly's my man. First catcher spot is filled. decent projections for him at HQ, 21 homers, 250 batting average. So that's good to get some power there out of the catcher spot. And then, again, I'm assuming I'll get one of those two closers back, or Joe Musgrove. A lot of Matt McGill. Yancey, Stefani has 1.5 closers. I would agree with that. I'm assuming they think Will Smith will close in Atlanta. I put out a tweet about that a week or so ago. I have no idea why Will Smith's going that high in drafts. Snickers said that Melanson is the closer after Smith signed, but that could obviously change. But it sounds like Will Smith, best case, is in a committee, and I think that's a little early for taking Will Smith. Matt McGill. You guys are going to persuade me on Matt McGill? Well, there goes Christian Vazquez. So again, I'm kind of glad I took a catcher in that spot, because I knew that Pianal or Stefania still needed one, and needed them more than they did closer. So I'll give myself a pat on the back for that one. There's a dog bark. They've actually been pretty good tonight. I haven't heard too many. Actually, I haven't heard a single trash can yet. All right, a lot of Matt McGill talk. Hirano may end up with more saves than McGill. Chris Davis, that's an awesome pick. And admittedly, someone who I was not really thinking about, and I'm talking here that I need power. Chris Davis would have been a fine pick at this stage. I wrote him up in the forecaster, and Chris Davis, and man, the pre and post injury numbers for Chris Davis were like night and day. He was pretty much the Chris Davis of old before he hurt his hip and played through that injury and really suffered because of it. Numbers went down. I'm expecting a nice rebound from Chris Davis. Kind of wishing I took him there. But I needed a catcher. Can't have 3 picks at every turn, right? All right, I can't believe I'm drafting Ian Kennedy in the 14th round of LABR. But here we are. Again, I like the transformation. The reliever version of Ian Kennedy, the velocity uptick. Using his 2 best pitches more often. I think, I buy into changes like that as much as you can for a closer. Again, the sample sizes are just tiny, but he's got the role. Kansas City should win some games. I'm okay with that. 14th round to get my second closer. That works. But yeah, still can't believe this is Ian Kennedy. All right. Still need to prioritize power. Power. There goes Verdugo. Zinke, that's a solid pick. Ryan O'Donnell says Joe Jimenez over Kennedy or McGill. I could have gone either way with Jimenez or Kennedy. I think Jimenez is actually a really good pitcher, and he's got the role in Detroit. So could flip a coin, honestly, for me between those two. But no right or wrong answer. Those are the kinds of things, those coin flips, like you may think they're coin flips now, and then you look back in August, and it's like, wow, I decided between Ian Kennedy and Joe Jimenez. One of those guys could shoot up, the other could get hurt spring training. A little outfield on Kyle Tucker. Again, I'm kind of off of him. There's so much uncertainty, playing time. Obviously, his skills are through the roof. Yeah, maybe takes Kevin Newman. I know that was suggested earlier in the chat. But just needed to patch some of those holes on the right now. So couldn't really go. Newman just didn't have the power for me. But it's a fine pick. There goes Sean Doolittle in Washington. Makes me feel a little bit better about my Ian Kennedy pick. Joey Menez is still on the board. Scratch Verdugo off. Again, still don't know what freaking team he's on. Alright, so I'm checking guys off my sheet here and really looking to prioritize power. Man, Mitch Haniger really jumps off the page at this point in the draft, but you can't take him. I've got a speculator column coming out tomorrow on HQ related to Mitch Haniger and his replacement, potential replacement. He's the cover boy of the article, Jake Fraley, who I'm targeting late in drafts. I'm really a big fan of what he might do if he gets any sort of regular playing time. Here goes some more catchers. There goes Alfaro. Couple power bats. Again, just thinking out loud. I don't think he's going to last until it gets back to me, but Luke Voit is certainly someone who I'd love to grab, fill in my corner, and get some power there. Somewhat related to Luke Voit, I think I saw Greg Bird sign somewhere today? Yes. Greg Bird signed with the Rangers. After disastrous Yankees tenure. That's about right. Nailed that headline. Brandon Lau Yance, help me out with that one. That's an awesome power pick in the 14th round. Again, don't know how often he'll play. Obviously, I don't think he'll play against lefties, but that power speed combo is pretty legit in the 14th. So, Bird to Texas, yep. Thanks for streaming, Ryan. Ryan O, thank you very much. What's the games played eligibility threshold for LABR? It is 20 games, Yancey. I think it's 5 in season. Gregorius proving that shortstop is super deep this year. Gregorius going in the 14th round. Going back to what I was talking about, Luke Voit is someone who I'd love to grab if he falls. I'm scanning my sheet for other power sources. Matt Carpenter bubbles up. 24th round ADP. I was just going to say Hunter Dozier bubbles up, but just got taken by Gardner again. That's a shocker. A couple power bats at catcher that I could grab. Sean Murphy, stay out of the catcher cesspool. And then there's a good amount of power bats in the outfield. And again, going back to what I was talking about earlier, that's why I wanted to try and stray off of outfield as much as I could, because there are some definite values. A guy like Randall Grichuk going in the 18th round, if I can snag him at my 17-18 turn, that would be pretty sweet. But it's kind of funny just looking through what I've got. I'm staring at my sheet, and I've got guys ranked or rated by power, speed, and average. There's not a whole lot of elite power left. I know if you pay for elite power, you're going to pay for it elsewhere. Batting average and no steals at this point in the draft. But is power available everywhere? I don't know. Once you start getting down here, there's starting to wane. And again, this will be my last 2 picks on the stream. So I'm going to shut it down after the 16th. Take a little bathroom break. Maybe fill this up with a different beverage. Now that we're in the second half of the draft and the kids to sleep. But we'll take it through the 15th and 16th. Again, really do appreciate you guys tuning in. It's been, 2 hours on the stream now. It's absolutely flying by. and still got a pretty decent following on here. So that is awesome, guys. Glad this worked out. Didn't throw me off too much on my game here with drafting. Well worth the interaction. Dave, yes, CJ Crone is a guy who I absolutely love. I don't love Detroit, but I do love that he'll play every day. So, actually, I've got his power rated higher than Luke Voigt's, even with the park change. And there's a lot of the research out there now is crazy. Like, it's not just park factors for left and right-handed home runs. It's park factors to left field, center field, right field. And it turns out that Comerica is like horrible to center field. And that's obviously going to hurt CJ Crone. But if he can pull the ball, he's still got the power to go 30 plus at least in that park. So yes, thank you, Dave. That's a strong suggestion. I've got him rated. I have him rated higher than Voigt, and so does HQ. Yancey, why isn't there more of this type of content out there? That's a good question. I really enjoy doing it. This is the first time I've ever live streamed, and I really haven't actually I've done podcasts in the past, but not with any sort of regularity, and I've only done a couple video things, so was just curious how this would go, and I thought it's been awesome. So I'm definitely down to do more of this as we go throughout draft season, and maybe do some HQ stuff with it as well. This is kind of really just an experiment to see how it would go, and I'm thrilled with it. It's been awesome. Tanaka. Wait a minute, is Musgrove not gone yet? Musgrove's still on the board. I probably do need to take a fourth pitcher. It's the 13th round. All right, so I've got a general idea here. I want to go power anywhere I can get it. Voigt, Crone would be awesome picks, and they could fill in my corner spot, which at this point in the draft, I'm okay filling that up. I was just going to say, pitcher-wise, I like Musgrove and Luke Weaver. As it comes out of my mouth, there goes Luke Weaver. And do we think Musgrove will make it to me in the 15th? I'll put him in the queue. Let's see what's up. There goes Joe Jimenez. And I need to start looking at other pitcher options, assuming I'm going to get sniped on Musgrove. Because it will happen. Other guys I've got rated somewhat high. McCullers, if he's still... Oh, yeah, McCullers is still there. But, yeah, the volume. Desclafani, Cole Hamels, Adrian Hauser. I'm starting to go a couple rounds after ADP, but that's fine. Those are some pitchers who I've got. John Gray's rated highly, but I should probably knock him down with the Coors factor a little bit. We'll see. There's 4 picks left until Musgrove can get sniped. Down to 3. There goes Jose Urquidy. Musgrove's in the queue. Come on. Oh, Sporer takes Luke Voigt. Could I get the double snipe? Crone and then Musgrove by Zinke and Flowers. Let's see if it happens. The double snipe, that would be fantastic. Dansby Swanson goes. All right, that's a good pick. I'm a big fan of Dansby Swanson this year. Obviously, he has the pedigree. Injury really derailed him in the second half last year, but that first half, man, he put up some skills. So that's a strong late shortstop pick from Zinke. And let's see what Flowers does. Flowers needs a pitcher, so watch him go Musgrove. I don't know if he likes Musgrove or not. No, he took Francisco Mejia. Appreciate the feedback, guys. Yancey, Dave. Thanks. All right, so Musgrove's my guy here. I haven't taken a pitcher since their 10th damn round. So I have to take him. I thought I might maybe play the game and see if Crone makes it back around, but I really need Musgrove as a 4th starter. So here we go, playing with fire, everyone's favorite sleeper. It's funny I say that, he's everyone's favorite sleeper, but honestly, the price tag on Musgrove is fine. I thought he'd get pushed up to like the 10th or 12th round, but he's stayed pretty cheap in the 15th, so I'm cool with that. Yancey says Scott Oberg. Who says no? I say no. Scott Oberg. Coors. He was great last year until I think he had blood clots, like a pretty serious thing that he was down for. And but seems like he's the guy. But I don't know. Coors kills me. All right, last pick on the stream. CJ Crone is all lined up, ready to roll. King Crone. I don't think he'll get taken here. This would be like 2 rounds before ADP. Playing with fire, mentioning with that. Ragnar Odor, I actually like that pick from a team construct. That's someone who probably helped me because I have that batting average cushion and I need the counting stats. That could work. Lucchesi, Sean Manaea, he dropped a lot. He's a 12th round ADP, went to the 15th. But again, I like Musgrove more than both of those guys. Lucchesi, I've heard, is working on a 3rd pitch this year, which would be awesome for his value because he's pretty good with 2 pitches. But if he can get that 3rd, could be pretty set. And let's see. Let's see if King Crone goes in the 16th. Does Pianowski have a first baseman yet? Yeah, he took Hosmer, but all right, he took a pitcher, Quintana. So it looks like I was strong taking Musgrove before Crone on that wheel because 3 starters went. It's impossible to say, if Stefania or Pianow would have taken Musgrove over the 3 guys that they took. But glad I wrapped him up. So CJ is my last pick on the stream. Shores up some power for me. Type him in here. We've got him projected for over 30 homers at HQ, so that helps my power projection a lot. And I back that projection. The raw power skills are elite for CJ Crone. You look at the barrel rates, the hard hit averages. At HQ, we've got expected power index, which is a really nice proxy for barrel rate before we had barrel rate even, and I use it just as much. Expected power index is elite for CJ as well. So I'm happy with that. Yance, Musgrove has already sucked me in again this year. Musgrove has already sucked. I could see that happening. But yeah, Musgrove will suck me in again. Again, the price is just fine in the 15th. So, all right, gang, cool. Again, really appreciate you guys hanging out. This was fun. Hope you guys got something from it. And hope the quality was good. I have no idea if it was, but it seems like it is. The comments are coming in pretty regularly and interacting with me. So I'm going to take off. I'm going to try and figure out who is on what team and what trades just happened during the draft, while also formulating a plan for the end game. So again, really appreciate it. And it's been fun. So thanks a lot.